And they were like, we're going to disconnect these lights or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I can send my daughters over to their people. I can go 2 days without some lights in the house. I don't care. I was like, I can go 2 days. I didn't care. I'm telling you, there's a certain level of I don't give a damn that you can't teach people. And I'm not even trying to teach anybody that.
Yeah. Yeah, we vibing in the present, future in our hands. Welcome to the space where the big shift lands. Mind right, heart open, entity expanding. You tuned in now. This is holistic manifesting.
Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jamila, and I am a master manifester. And I'm sure you are too, because you are consuming content like this. The name of this lovely channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in the whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I'm discussing in this video is freedom is not for the timid. I repeat, freedom is not for the timid. And I say this with all due respect. Every now and then, I have these situations and circumstances that work out in my life that show me how, I'll say, fragile freedom can be. And when I say freedom, I'm talking about just the idea of we're living in this world where there's very specific set identities and set goals and set way of moving about the world and moving about your environments. And when you decide that that is not going to be what it is not going to be what works for you, that you're willing to be the highest version, the truest version, the most valued version to yourself, of yourself, to walk around in this world, it's going to come at a cost. And I know we say this all the time, right? It's going to come at the cost of so many things that we don't always discuss, but primarily there's a level of fear that sits deep within us when we start challenging the norms around us, when we start challenging people around us that we wouldn't normally challenge, when we start challenging our own thoughts and our own processes, when we start challenging just our state of being. There's like a deep fear that resides inside of us. And generally, when you start down that path and you decide, I am going to be what I'm going to be, I am going to develop into who I'm going to develop into, and whoever has to come and go or leave or not show up or whatever on that path, that's just the way it's going to be. When you decide on that and you get into that space, so many people believe that it doesn't also come attached to a heavy amount of fear. There are decisions that I've made in my life a long time ago about the freedom that I was going to have about who I was and how I approached the world. And people can either meet me in that space or either we just may not talk to each other a long time ago. But if I'd be fibbing, I'd be lying if I told you I didn't have moments to where I fear I'm losing something, that I fear these relationships or these connections are never going to be mended, or they're never going to be repaired, or they're never going to be available to me again. But at the end of the day, I'm always like, there's a level of freedom that you're operating in that doesn't live in that space. And if you move yourself around in life, always based on what you might be losing or what other people might take away from you or what you might not have in case of, then you're not going to be in your freedom. You're going to be trapped into the whatever box you allow the world to put you into. I say this especially when it comes to things like your financial circumstances, because I've lived a very free life when it comes to my career and how I've operated into it. Someone mentioned to me a while ago that I operate as a work environment is only a piece of my puzzle, and that whatever I'm doing in my life has to work around that, right? Like the job is just one thing, and who I am at my core is like where my anchor is at. That's like where my center is. And it's like if the job or the contract or whatever it is doesn't work, then it doesn't get into my life, right? And it looks all fine and dandy for a lot of people on the outside looking in. They're like, oh, that's so wonderful. Look what you've created. You've created an amazing experience, you know? And what we fail to believe is that on the other side of that, there's a lot of uncertainty that's not always enjoyable to experience. But for me, it's way less enjoyable to wedge myself into this area of certainty that the world makes look so appealing and like it's something that you have to have. That's way less enjoyable for me than the uncertainty. I can take the uncertainty. I can take it. I can take not knowing sometimes where this is going to come from, that is going to come from. And you know, it's happened many times in my life, even with small children. I can take it. I'm more established in my career now, so it's not something that occurs, you know, the way it did frequently. Like, you know, am I going to get another contract? Am I going to get another client? Am I going to get, you know, that was a lot more so in my 30s. But now I'm much more established in my career, and I literally have to turn things down a lot. But there's still moments to where you're thinking, should I turn this down? Because what if next year is not like this? What if it doesn't show up? What if this happens? What if I need this? And, you know, what if I'm the only one that's doing this? Well, at this point, I know if somebody's going to pay college tuition, it's probably going to be me. But I already know these things that are going to need to be done. And so there's a part of me that still kind of resides in that space a little bit. And I was thinking about, man, when I try to convey this or teach this to other people, it's like almost nothing that I can say sometimes that I feel comfortable with when it comes to being comfortable or being free, when it comes to wanting your freedom or experiencing freedom in your life on a regular basis. It's like when you take somebody skydiving. I'm going to tell you how amazing it is, and I'm going to tell you how the free fall feels and what it feels like or whatever, you know, how joyful it is to jump out of that plane, but I'm not going to sit there and push somebody out of the plane. And that's something that I've never had any desire to do. And I always think this when I meet people and talk to people, there's a certain level of, I wouldn't even call it fearlessness. There's a certain level of I don't give a damn that I have inside of me that I don't always think can be taught to other people. And, you know, I think we all come in this world with certain things. And I think you can grow deeper into those spaces. You can grow deeper into a mindset that's a little bit more free for you. But what's free for me and the level of uncertainty that I'm willing to be okay with is not going to always be acceptable for other people. And so I always say this to people when they ask me about things like, you know, I was being asked about homeschooling my daughters, and I was a single mom, and I was working mostly part-time and then doing little contracts, doing teaching things here and there for people, and just having very small bills and kind of moving around quietly in life so that I didn't need a lot of stuff at the time. And, you know, there were times when, I mean, it wasn't a lot, but I mean, I could think of a time when one summer I was like, let me send my daughters to their people's house, you know, on the other side, their granny's house, because I needed $225 or something like that for a light bill. And our thought process was like, hey, I guess I could get a job at like a retail store or something like that. But it's like I just couldn't force myself to do it. I'm like, nope, the minute they want me to show up and clock and do all these things, I'm like, I'm not going to want to do it. I got to wait to see if these contracts going to come through. And I was like, and then what that's going to mean? All this time away from my daughters, going to somebody's night and evening work job. And then it's going to mean I might have to pay somebody. Then I'm going to be using more gas money. It's like I always thought about how much more freedom it would be taken away from me to try to do something to get rid of the uncertainty in my life. So I was just always much more comfortable on the end of the uncertainty and just believing that I was going to manifest and attract these things in my life that I had been meditating on and praying on for a very long time and making and trying to make sure that they showed up. And what's so funny is that was my plan. I was like, okay, it's going to be 2 days before something comes in. And they were like, we're going to disconnect these lights or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I can send my daughters over to their people. I can go 2 days without some lights in the house. I don't care. I was like, I can go 2 days. I didn't care. I'm telling you, there's a certain level of I don't give a damn that you can't teach people. And I'm not even trying to teach anybody that, right? I was like, I don't care. Well, the funniest thing was when their grandparent from the other side came and picked them up, she knew that I wasn't really getting any help. She gave me an envelope with $225 in it. and the girls still left. They were going, bye. They're going to have a slumber party at their grandparents' house. And she gave me $225. And I was like, the light bill was literally $222 or something. And I paid it in that moment. And what's so crazy is that what I thought was going to be an electricity, a no electricity slumber party for myself, it was really just me at the house chilling, enjoying the air conditioning, enjoying food that didn't spoil in the fridge or whatever. And because I'm also the kind of person, I'm not going to ask anybody for anything. That's just not who I am either. I just never was. And some people think it's about pride. Always, my mom used to tell me that. She's like, I'm like, it's not pride. I just don't want to. It's like, I can't even think of a better reason behind it. It's just that I want to see what I attract. I want to see what I can do on my own. I want to see what comes into my life without me going out there, getting into survival mode, dipping into somebody else's household funds or dipping into somebody else's resources. I always wanted to see, like, what level of attraction are you at and what comes to you then? And sure enough, I knew I was at a decent level of attraction when that lady gave me exactly the amount of money that light bill was, and the children still went to go have a good time for 2 to 3 days. And so I say all that to say, and I probably rambled off, sometimes I tell stories pretty concise and succinct, and then sometimes I just get on here and I'm floppy. Today I feel floppy. And also I didn't do my hair, so I probably feel floppy because I didn't do my hair. I was just not interested. I don't want to. And I was like, thinking about that, I was like, man, freedom is not for the timid. It's not for people that are like, if you kind of scared all the time about everything, you're not going to make it 2 seconds in that space, because you really have to rely upon the idea that there's a larger power at work. There is a bigger story behind what you are experiencing in any given moment. And if you think that what the information you have is all the information to be had, then every time when it's not looking right, you're going to think you're losing every single time. And they call it delusional, but I'm quite faithful in that area, that I'm like, I don't even know what it's going to be. I don't even know what's working out. I don't even have a clue. And the idea of that is much more soothing for me and much more comforting for me than me trying to force things into place and thinking that I'm solving all the problems myself and making the thing happen so that I don't have to feel that energy of uncertainty. And the funniest part about it is that when my daughters were younger, I was really good at not even allowing them into that space. So one of my daughters was saying, she was talking to a friend one day, and she was like, the girl went home to her mom or whatever, and she's like, she asked her mom, are we poor or whatever? And she's like, have you ever asked your parent that? And my daughter was like, I didn't think about money when I was a kid. She was like, I don't ever remember asking about being poor or having finance. She was like, we didn't ask about that kind of stuff. I was really good. I was an excellent buffer at them not being latched into any anxieties or any uncertainties that I might have had at any given time. When it became more challenging is when they got older and they could pay attention to things, and you couldn't just say, oh, well, we're not going to get it today. Let's think about it and see if we really want it. The youngest one would be like, but I'm sure that I want it. And she'd look at me, and I'm like, I'm never going to say that I don't have enough, because I just don't believe in that language. I just don't. I would be like, I'm just not doing it right now. But no, but it came to starting to have real conversations about finances and things. And for a while, it kind of tripped me up, because it took me out of that space, because I had to share that with somebody. I had to share that with them, and they were receptive and they could understand. But now it's at a place to where the thought process is very similar to mine, especially the oldest one. She was like, hey, man, you do all you can do, and then you got to wait to see what's going to happen. And I was like, you get it. You get it. And I was like, that's the truth. It's the truth, right? And it's like, it's, you see the children coming and thinking the way that you want them to think. You don't want them to be bogged down by, I have to live like this, and I have to do this, and I have to make these things happen, because other than that, nothing is going to happen in my life. And they live this, real tight 9 to 5, waiting for vacation day, waiting for sick days, and can't call off work. This whole, structured life that they don't really want to live. And I already know they don't, because, we talk about this a lot. And just being in that space is something where you really have to dig deep within yourself and decide what's most important to me. Is it more important for me to feel that safety net all the time that I've created, working in my with my three-dimensional abilities, right? Or is it okay for me to see what happens in life sometimes? Is it okay for me to live on the side of whimsy and just be okay there? I think that's one of my favorite things, and I probably this video is not that long. One of my favorite things about being a single person is that I love the idea of not checking that against anybody else's rules about how it should be done. Just about every time I've let somebody in my life, be it a long-term connection or somebody that was just, hanging around to see what it was going to be, they really weighed down my manifesting and joyful abilities, right? They really, they were like, what's on paper? On paper, this doesn't work. And I'm like, yeah, but let's wait to see what's going to happen. you know? And I say this also as a person who's, very, very good with money, very good at balancing finances. I'm the kind of person that would get money that I'm gonna have for the next 3 months and lay it out for 3 months real good. Like that's who I am. And I'm the kind of person also too that's always had positions and jobs. I don't even know why I'm talking about this stuff right now. So it must be something somebody needs to hear. Who knows? That I always had positions and jobs to where it was never this weekly or 2 weeks. It was always a monthly pay thing. Or if you started working and you missed a month, it was on contract. You get the money in a bulk amount. I never was one of those regular turning over, here's some money every week or every 2 weeks kind of paychecks. So I learned to be really mindful, especially with that 30-day turnaround, with what needed to be done all the time. Make bill lists like this and then check things off. Have a digital one with dates. Everything pops up in my phone for dates that needs to be done because I'm not going to remember. So it was never about me not being organized when it came to finances, but sometimes when you have other people around, it really scares them in a way because they're not used to being in any level of uncertainty because they've always had a really 9 to 5, really reliable as far as their life has gone, working environment. And so when they see you kind of just living the way you do, it throws people off a little bit. And so I've had my most joyful and what is it called? Whimsical and fun experiences just not being in a relationship with somebody else based on that sort of thing. And that's one of the biggest things. It's like when I make the rule for it, it's just my rule. If I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do this. If I'm going to take a risk, I'm just going to take a risk. If I'm not going to take a risk, I'm just going to not take that risk. It's like I like being in that space. And so that's just something I wanted to share tonight. Like when people ask me a lot of times about, my life and whether or not I am in this space where I do not have to work extra hard and stuff and like how did I get there and what am I working on and what do I do? And I always say that what you're picking up on is what's inside of me. It's not necessarily the external parts of it. I've resided and surrendered because that's my word this year, right? I've resided and surrendered into nothing in this world is going to be pushing me back and forth or pulling me around and making me feel any kind of way about myself. If it was tomorrow and it was like, hey, you're going to lose your vehicles, you're going to lose your house or whatever, lose whatever. I call it exchanging it for something else that's better and bigger that's coming if those things happen. And you don't even want to know how many times in life I've prepared for things to happen that were so, and then the thing never happened, right? And so like if those things don't move me to make changes in my life or to shift my life in any major way, they don't move me because they're material things. And I know that if I'm still breathing, then there's still more that I can be doing. There's still more things that I can attract. There's still more work that can be done. There's still always another opportunity around the corner as long as I'm still here. And so when I meet people sometimes, they feel like there's this ease when it comes to, oh, you're not working right now? It's like, no, I haven't worked in about 5 months, but I know how to make it work for a long time. And they're like, "Oh, how do you feel comfortable?" I had a friend of mine used to say that to me all the time because but the moment we got out of high school, she was working for a corporate environment like instantly. And I remember feeling like, maybe I should be doing that. Look at her. She's already in six figures. We were in our 20s. And I was just like, man, but she's looking over at me thinking like, how do you feel so at ease just not like focusing on how you're going to make it all the time? Listen, I was like, because it's not beneficial to my well-being. I've already done that at different periods in my life and it's not beneficial. And when I truly nailed down the idea that it's like you love your freedom too much. You love being able to be the navigator of your life. You love being able to be the captain of your ship. And if you're taking something on, it's got to feel like and be like something that you don't need and you can do if you need to do. But if you didn't want to do it, you didn't have to do it, right? And I know for a lot of people, like, like if they look relationship wise, that is so unappealing when a person has a personality like that. I don't do what is it called? Astrology because I don't really know it that well, but I know every time I tell somebody I'm a Sagittarius, they go, aha. Y'all don't like to be nailed down to nothing. I'm like, well, maybe you're right because me and my ex-husband was a Sagittarius, and I'm like, well, somebody got to grow up, and everybody can't be loose and free and just doing what they want to do. Some people kept running free, but I was like, I gotta rein this in and be stable for these children. And so my daughter was just telling me the other day how grateful she was that she had a parent who was with a personality like mine, who was willing to sit in one place while they grew up, because for that is really hard for a lot of people. And I know quite a bit of people who happen to be Sagittarius is a lot. I don't know, that have a hard time sitting in one spot, kind of making sure things are stable enough. And so whenever I had to do that, and it was something that I didn't want to do, but it was the most, it made the most sense at the time, it would killed me. I felt like I was in adult prison, adult jail, life jail. I was like, this is life jail. I remember telling my dad that. I'm like, this is life jail. I don't want to be doing this. And he just laughed because I'm like, it is jail. I was like, I don't want to do this. But somebody's got to take care of the kids. Somebody got to take care of what they need. Somebody got to give them what they need. Nonetheless, I don't even know what I was really, I think I rambled today. And I'm okay with that because normally I'm all straight laced and I may not even edit this video. Freedom is not for the timid. It's just not. And everybody wants it in this safety, with this safety net, and it does not work that way. It does not. And what I can tell you is that when you get into those moments or those long stretches and periods of your life where you are in this flow state and everything is moving like you like it to move, and you like look around and go, look what you did on your own terms, with your own energy, with your own mindset. Look at over here, you co-created, and look at this amazing outcome. When you get in those places, there's nothing like it. I can honestly tell you, I've gotten the paycheck from the 9 to 5. When I tell you, from my mindset and my perspective, being in that flow state and then reaping rewards from those particular things, from your talents and your skill sets, and having multiple streams of income and things just working out, there's no better feeling than that. Like, to me, that's so much better than that feeling of, well, I know I'm going to get a paycheck in 2 weeks. And I think nothing is wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that I've been on both sides of it. And for me, there's nothing better than that feeling of knowing that I trusted myself enough to put myself out there and to share something that I thought was important enough to share. And then it was received somewhere, like some skill set or some talent that I have. And I was able to create a life that I was choosing on my own terms, whatever that may look like at any given time, right? Nonetheless, freedom is not for the timid. Just keep that in mind. And don't forget, I got that workshop coming up, from second guessing to self-trust. And that's something I have I have in bundles, a lot of self-trust. And it's mostly because I forced myself into it. And I was talking about that a second ago. I never made it my business to force myself to lean hard on asking people for things when I knew that I would be okay without certain things. And I was always okay with losing something material. And in that place, it allowed me to trust myself a little bit more, because I didn't think of always, okay, if you trust yourself, you might lose this. It was like, hey, you're going to trust yourself no matter what. These things may come and go, these people may come and go, but at the end of the day, we're still going to reside in trusting ourselves, right? And it's so much more peaceful of a place to be in when you're not constantly vacillating between what it is you think you want, what you don't want, what you want people to think of you, what you don't, whether you want to be perceived a certain way, whether you don't want to be perceived. It's like when you get out of that space of doing that to yourself on a regular basis, that doesn't mean it won't come up, but it just means that you regulate that version of yourself way more. And it feels so confident and strong and free. And to me, it's nothing better than that, right? So from second guessing to self-trust, that's going to be, I think it's like in a week now. It's May 17th. So that's coming up. And then always the one-on-ones available to you. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.
Yeah. Yeah, we vibing in the present, future in our hands. Welcome to the space where the big shift lands. Mind right, heart open, energy expanding. You tuned in now. This is holistic manifesting. Let's go. Breathe in the blessings, let the doubts fall back. Tiny daily moves keep you right on track. Mind, body, spirit, everything aligning. Thanks for rolling through. This is holistic manifesting. Keep shining.